Hey, what's up, guys? Today I have another guide, and this one's on Kaisa Yasuo dual carry. I'm actually really excited to make this guide because I was struggling with this comp for a long time, but once I shifted my playstyle, now it feels a lot better to play. So, first in this video, I want to talk about the comp, and then we'll talk about itemization, then we'll talk about early and mid game, and then lastly, we'll talk about legends and augments, okay? So, the way that I shifted my playstyle is to focus on the 6 challenger variation rather than the 6 Ionia variation. And the reason for that is that in the 6 Ionia variation, Yasuo is kind of your primary carry, and then Kaisa is your secondary carry. In this new 6 challenger variation, you want to focus on Kaisa first, Yasuo is second. You can check out Milk's profile. He spammed this comp to rank 1. And look, he's playing Kaisa 27 times over the past 20 games. What the heck? And then look at he played the 6 challenger variation 14 times and the 6 Ionia variation only 3 times. So yeah. I think what makes this comp especially strong is the itemization. So let's get into it. Both Shojin and Jeweled Gauntlet have been buffed, and I think this combination is really strong. So absolutely core on Kaisa is the Shojin, the Jeweled Gauntlet. You don't want to play any game that you don't have this combination on her. And then lastly is Guardbreaker. Ideally, you get Guardbreaker because it gives you the flat AP, gives you the crit that scale nicely with the Jeweled Gauntlet, and then her ult is gonna always like spread to everyone, so you're pretty much guaranteed the 25% more damage. So ideally, you get Guardbreaker. If you can't get Guardbreaker, Hodge is another good option. And then lastly, Gunblade. But you really want the Guardbreaker. Next up is Yasuo. This is absolutely core on him, is the Rapid Fire Cannon, the Edge of Night. The reason this is really strong is Yasuo's ult scales with attack range. With the Rapid Fire Cannon, he can now ult the back line. So if you put him in this hex right here, he's going to, if the enemy carries in this corner, he's gonna ult this corner right here. So if they're in this corner, you want to mirror, and he'll ult this corner right here. So yeah, this is the middle hex right here, and then you just want to put him on either side. And then you ideally want someone to kind of protect him. And so then he's gonna ult the enemy carries in this corner. Yeah, so and then Edge of Night, just so that at 60% HP he drops aggro, and that way once he kind of kills that backline, he still has some usefulness before dying out. And the last item, you really just want any type of damage item. So Deathblade, Hodge, IE, even Last Whisper. But yeah, this is the core, and then any kind of item after that is okay. And lastly is Shen. Before you get Shen, you want Set, right? Or Set. And you can put items on Set until you get Shen. And these are the best items on him. Ionic Spark, just so that you can get some Shred on the front line and some anti-heal. You know, classic, regular. And then lastly, so the comp is 6 challengers, right? So all the challengers, everyone that you can find, and then your last Ionia being either Shen or Set. And then on 7, you really want Senna. Senna is really strong in this comp because with Shadow Isle, now giving her 5 mana per second. Is it? Yeah, 5 mana per second. And with Redeemer. What Redeemer does is that whenever anyone gets a shield, they get 8% attack speed. And so that really works with Senna, and it works with Shen. So Senna is going to be your +1 on 8. Really strong. I created an item component tier list. So your premium components are going to be the rod, the bow, and then the sword. The rod is going to be Jeweled Gauntlet first, and then it's going to be the Ionic Spark second. The bow is going to be Rapid Fire Cannon, and then your sword is going to be firstly Shojin, and then secondly Edge of Night. Do not use these premium components on anything other than those items, And then once you have all your core items down, then you can start to think about how to use these otherwise. I see a huge misplay is building the Ginsu or the Death Blade early. And the reason those are bad because it just kills your premium components. It kills 2 premium components, right? And so it really reduces your chances of getting your core items. So don't build Ginsu early, don't build Deathblade early. Next up is the Thief's Glove, or the Sparring Glove. And this is really just, it's Jeweled Gauntlet first, and then hopefully Guardbreaker second. And then if not, Hodge, right? Hand of Justice. So when in doubt, just grab a glove from Carousel if you can't get these premium units, or these premium components. Next up is the Tier. Tier builds the Shojin. After Shojin, you kind of don't want any more tiers. So try to grab a tier to guarantee the Shojin. After that, you don't want any more tiers. When in doubt, you just make a Hodge, right? And then Spat. I'll talk about Spat more late game or later, but Spat's pretty good in this comp to make Challenger Spat. And then next up are the defensive. You just need one of these to make the Edge of Night. After that, you're gonna look to build the Sunfire. Sunfire isn't core in this comp, but what's really nice about Sunfire is that it kills these. So after that, you just build Sunfire because these are otherwise useless. And then you just need one cloak for the spark. Okay, so let's talk about mid game. Mid game is your classic Ionia start. So hopefully on stage 2 you have your Ionia start, so Jhin, Aurelia, Sett. And then slowly you want to build up your challengers. So, you know, Warwick first and then Samira, Kalista. And I recommend slamming any of your core items. Once you get a core item, just slam it either on Sett as your tank or Jhin as your damage. Shojin's actually pretty good on Jhin, so don't stop yourself from building Shojin on Jhin. Rapid Fire Cannon, Guardbreaker, even Jeweled Gauntlet, just throw it on Jhin. It's pretty good. And I also like to mention, you want to throw the tank items on Sett because you're going to sell Sett. If you throw it on Aurelia early, you're going to have to find a replacement Aurelia, which is okay. So if you get a 2-star Aurelia and no Sett, then just throw it on her. But otherwise, you want to throw it on Sett because you're going to get rid of him. You can also put these items on Kalista. But like the Aurelia, you're going to want to keep Kalista all game. And so if you build these items on Kalista, either you need a remover or you're going to need to sell her and find a new one. Another option is if you find an early Akshan, you can throw the items on Akshan. Just throw any items on Akshan and then sell him. So yeah, just slam the items, try to save as much HP, stage 3, and then sell either Akshan, sell Jhin, once you get your Kaisa and your Yasuo. So yeah, that's the mid game. And then lastly, I want to talk about what to do with Challenger. So if you get a Challenger emblem, you can now cap your board on level 7. You just drop Samira and you put a Challenger emblem on Senna. This is really strong because 6 Challenger gives you 95% attack speed. And then it's doubled, or 50% increase for 2.5 seconds when you kill someone. So with Senna, with Challenger Spat, she's gonna be casting a ton. If you could get a Shojin on Senna, she's casting like 5-6 times per fight, which makes your comp do a ton more damage and just live forever. So if you get a Challenger Spat, you really want it on Senna. And then on 8, you throw in Heimerdinger. Heimerdinger is really good in this comp because of this combination. If you don't know this combination, it's Shrink, Mechanoswarm. The reason this is really good is because with 2 Shrinks, you now get 60% Shred and Sunder. Even if you have the Ionic Spark, it's still more reliable. The turret's more reliable than the Ionic Spark is. because eventually Shen dies, right? And this is only in the front line. And Shrink Mechanoswarm is really good because Mechanoswarm turns your turret's attacks into a cone. And with the cone, you're now applying the double shred. So the Mechanoswarm is needed as your last upgrade. And that way, this thing will pretty much apply double shred to everyone pretty much immediately. So Heimerdinger on 8. If you can't find Heimerdinger, you can play Nasus. Nasus is just good frontline. He adds the Juggernaut, and then now you can easily swap this. It's nice. You can also put the Challenger spat on Heimerdinger. That's perfectly fine if you can't find Senna. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the comp. Lastly, I want to talk about legends and augments. So, as you probably guessed it, the best legend is going to be Ezreal. The reason Ezreal is especially good for this comp is with so many components you get through Ezreal, you can really greed this perfect combination of items. And so, I like to hold some components on bench a lot more with Ezreal than if I'm playing someone that doesn't have a lot of items, right? If you don't have a lot of items, sometimes you're kind of pressured to slam the items early. But since you have so many items, you can kind of greed the items. And then I really like his 3-2 augment in this comp because the 3-2 augment, the grab bag, is either a reforger or a remover. And both of those are really good for this so that you can, again, guarantee your core items. And then the remover is nice because you can put items on Callista and then move it over to Kaisa, for example. You can put items on Aurelia, move it over to Shen. So you can even put the Yasuo items on Warwick and then remover, put it onto Yasuo when you get him. Yeah, so the remover is really good. The reforger is really good. So on 2-1 and 3-2, you're pretty much always going to pick the Ezreal. And then for 4-2, the best one is the Challenger Crest. Challenger Crest is going to be nice to put on Senna. Or any type of healing. So I really like Harmesis, right? Harmesis gives you Leech, Cybernetic Leech. This one gives you Leech. Anything that gives you some healing. So even Healing Orb is good. This one, or what's the other one called? Resistance, Unified Resistance. This is also really good. Or anything that's you have my bow and you have my sword are both really good because one, it just guarantees you to get your core items, and two, giving kind of a universal 15% attack speed or a universal 18% AD. Everyone's doing their job in this comp, so having everyone get a little bit of damage is nice. I think the best one is the Magic Rod one, Magic Wand one. 20% AP, that's like going to be useful on Callista, it's going to be useful on Kaisa, Shen, Senna. So Magic Wand is the best out of those. Or, of course, Social Distance is good, but I find it messes up your positioning a lot, so I'm a little hesitant to pick this one up. Hopefully there's better options. If not, on 4-2, you can still pick this one up. And same thing with long distance pals. I think with this comp specifically, it messes up your position a little too much that these lose a lot of value compared to the 6 Ionia variation, in my opinion. So I think they're better options than those two, but they're still really strong. And lastly, I want to talk about Sentinel Spirit. Sentinel Spirit used to be a must-take in the 6 Ionia variation, but in this variation, it's not as good. I'm still willing to take this on 2-1 or 3-2. On 4-2, definitely skip out on this one. Don't take this one on 4-2. On 2-1 and 3-2, unless, I don't know. This one's kind of up in the air. I don't really like it that much, but some people do, so this one's kind of 50-50 whether or not I take this one or not. Anyway, that's it for this guide. Please like and subscribe. I'd also like to hear some feedback onto Was this too long, too short? What would you like to hear more of? What would you like to hear less of? Yeah, anyway, that's it for today. Peace.